All right, so we are ethics case number 7, and our ethics case, go ahead. All right, so our ethics case is about Kate. Kate is a new PT at County Hospital, and she goes and gets her paperwork for the day, and her paperwork includes somebody that she recognizes, a name that she recognizes, and it's a professor from her PT school, and her professor is in there with a suspected brain tumor. So Kate decides she wants to tell a friend of hers that she went to PT school with, and she does this by posting on one of the public aspects of Facebook, writing on her Facebook wall, essentially. Unfortunately, Facebook is a public platform, and the patient's daughter actually is friends with these girls, and she sees that Kate has written to her friend about her mother's brain tumor, and so she tells her mom, hey, this is getting out, this is public. And so the patient then reports Kate to the hospital's director, Joanne, and then Joanne calls Kate into the office and tells her, hey, this is not okay, and we're thinking about taking action against you. And Kate says that she's done nothing wrong, that everything she's done is totally fine, it's just a generational thing, you don't understand, because this is just how we communicate. This is our form of communication, is through social media. So we put together a little example of what this would look like. I'm posting on Kelsey's wall and giving her some information about Jon Snow, and you can see that Kelsey and I are not the only two people that can see this, because Yolanda and Johnny are able to see this, as well as Kelsey. So it's getting out to more than just one person, and this was our example of what Kate basically has done, so that we can visualize. All right? So the stakeholders, people holding stakes in this case. So of course we have Kate. Kate is the primary stakeholder. She's the one who has taken this action. But we also have County Hospital, specifically Joanne, the director, but the hospital in general. We also have the patient / Kate's former professor. She definitely has a stake in it. It's her personal information that is getting out, and so obviously she would care. In kind of lesser stakeholders, we have Kate's friend, who was the person who received this information. We have the professor's daughter, and then we also have Kate's PT program that she just graduated from. She is a new PT coming into this hospital, and so it could reflect on her school that she came from and got hired from, because also this is her former professor as the patient, who is going to be able to say, hey, here's one of our students, former students, who is doing this. So those are the stakeholders in this.
Okay, next up are the possible consequences. And as our hippo is not pleased at all, because Ms. Edwards, her privacy was encroached upon, and her rights. So it was a violation of her patient privacy, breaking HIPAA. There's a possible lawsuit involved if she wanted to go that way, possible termination, and then also like a sanction of the professional board if they want to go that route as well, which could include fines. Obviously there's some retraining that could possibly go into it, because she had no idea what she was doing wrong, so she needs to be reinformed about HIPAA and all of that privacy that the patient needs. And one of the most important aspects is the emotions of the patient and of her daughter, because as you heard, her daughter was really distressed, which caused her mom to be really distressed because she didn't know, and that's a traumatic thing to find out on Facebook. And then there's a decrease in the trust of PT students in the hospital, because if she didn't learn this properly, then there must be something that's happening at the school level. And then there's also the public's view of PTs at that hospital has decreased as well. So those are the consequences. So, RIPS, rest in peace, beloved pants. It is the model for ethics, decision making. The R is for realms, the I is for and P is for individual process, and then the S is for situation. So there are three aspects to the realm: individual, organizational, and then societal. And we kind of chose, well, we did choose individual because it was in between Kate and the patient. She violated her privacy because the individual realm is concerned with the good of the patient and her rights and their relationships. So we went and decided that. Now the individual process is kind of like tools, kind of like moral behaviors. There are 4 of those: moral sensitivity, moral judgment, moral motivation, and moral courage. So since she had no idea that she was doing something wrong, she didn't think she did something wrong, we chose moral sensitivity because there was none. There was no awareness or recognition to frame that ethical situation. And then the next one is the situation. There are 5 of those: issue/problem, dilemma, distress, temptation, and silence. So again, hashing out that she had no idea. She had no idea, so she couldn't really have a dilemma. She couldn't really become distressed or tempted or choose to be silent because she didn't even acknowledge that it was wrong. So we chose issue and problem. So she didn't think there was any importance, and the important values present were challenged by her actions.
So, Kate had an obligation to protect her patient information, which she did not do. She violated HIPAA, of course, which is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, or Public Law 104-191. It's a federal law that basically tells us what information we can share and who we can share it with. So by her putting it on Facebook for people to see, she did not have her client's permission to do so, and these people were not involved in her care, so she violated that portion of HIPAA. So because healthcare was moving more towards electronic means of storage and transmission of patient information, the security and privacy rules were added in 2000 and 2003, and basically gives guidance on how to encrypt information and how to protect a patient's electronic information. So initially she started texting her friend about her patient, which violated this section in particular because we assume that her device was not encrypted because she's not even aware HIPAA exists apparently. So we assumed her device was not encrypted. So not only did she violate the general HIPAA regulations, she violated the security and privacy rules that were added later. So her actions violated 2E and 5A in the APTA's Code of Ethics and Guide to Professional Conduct. Okay, so 2E states that a physical therapist shall protect confidential patient and client information and may disclose confidential information to appropriate authorities only when allowed or as required by law. Then we also have 5A, which states physical therapists shall comply with applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations. These principles are also addressed in the APTA Standard of Practice for Physical Therapy in sections 1A and 1B, which are titled Ethical Considerations and Legal Considerations. So along with this, she also violated Principle 2 because it goes into showing compassion for your patients, which she did not do. She did not take a step back when she was confronted and say, you know, maybe I caused harm to the patient and the patient's family. She just flat out said that she did nothing wrong and didn't put herself in her patient's shoes. So, and lastly, the director of physical therapy at the hospital was fulfilling her obligation in accordance with Principle 4C of the Code of Ethics for Physical Therapists, which states physical therapists shall discourage misconduct by healthcare professionals and report illegal or unethical acts to the relevant authorities when appropriate. So by confronting her and letting her know that she did make a violation, she fulfilled that obligation.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about the tests. And all the tests that we went over are all positive. So for the first one, the mom test, definitely positive, since you would not want your mom knowing this about you, especially the fact that she doesn't show any remorse towards the situation. Front page test would be also positive, since definitely on the hospital, since she broke HIPAA laws, and that's representative of the hospital. The stench test, also positive. It definitely has a stench, but Kate, for some reason, cannot smell the stench. And then legal test, also yes, as I said before, HIPAA laws, it violates those. And then professional ethics, also positive, because it violates, like Yolanda was saying, APTA Code of Ethics and Guide for Professional Conduct. So all the tests are all positive. And then our action plan. So what we would do, the first thing we want to see is retraining of Kate. So because she's not showing remorse or awareness for the situation, we want to retrain her and show her that what she did was actually wrong and actually violated these laws. If that doesn't work and she's still not showing remorse and awareness of the situation, we would look towards a leave of absence. So that's just to show how serious the situation is, and we don't want other employees seeing the fact that we take privacy lightly. And then if that still does not work, then we look towards termination of Kate's job. And that also shows how serious privacy is. If the hospital is basically known for giving out private information, that's something we really wouldn't want for all our employees to be doing. And then after that, we want to do a few things. We want to reach out to her PT school. So we want to talk about how they counteract this idea of privacy with their students. So we want them, if they don't have a class like professional issues, maybe to do something like that. And then the last thing we want to do is with Kate, we want her to remove the Facebook post, even though the damage has already been done. And we want her to apologize to both the patient and the family. So those are just a few things we want to do as we look towards resolving the issue that we have. Any questions?
All right, so hold on. Just in case anyone has any questions about HIPAA and HIPAA laws, HHS.gov, which is the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, has a great website that tells you all about HIPAA. It tells you about laws, the history of HIPAA, gives you information about what patients need to know and professionals. So if you want to check it out, it's a good resource.